or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the hereditary material in humans and all plants or animals. Every cell in a person's body has the same DNA. Most DNA is found in the nucleus of a cell, but also can be found in the mitochondria. It is easy to think of DNA as information. That information says everything about your body, how you look, color of your eyes, or even if you're prone to certain diseases. The information is stored using 4 chemical bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. More than 99% of those bases are the same in all people, so you have a lot more in common with others than you think. The order or sequence of these bases determines the information available for building and maintaining an organism, like how letters of the alphabet appear in different orders to form words and sentences. DNA bases have partners. A is always partnered with T, and C always partners with G. These are called base pairs. Base pairs are held together in the middle of the DNA strand with hydrogen bonds. The outside is a sugar-phosphate backbone, which holds everything together in its double helix, which looks like a twisted ladder. DNA has the ability to make copies of itself. Each strand or side of the double helix can serve as a pattern for duplicating the necessary sequences of bases. RNA plays an important role in decoding and coding the genetic material. This is important for when the cell divides, it needs an exact copy of DNA. Now that we have the information, let's get started making our own model of DNA.
Hi everybody, my name is Chrissy.
And I'm Matthew, and we're with the Chattanooga Public Library. Today we're going to be constructing a 3D model of a DNA strand.
Awesome, so I'm going to go over the supplies with you, and then Matthew is going to lead us in the creation of our DNA strand. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
The supplies you're going to need, you're going to first need fishing line around 2 feet, scissors, needle or a paper clip, 20 pom-poms of one color, 20 smaller pom-poms of another color, straws with 4 different colors, bamboo skewers or wire, markers to match all of the colors of your different components, and cardstock or note card to write on, 1 dowel rod, and a base for your model, which this can be anything from foam core to styrofoam to clay, anything you have around the house that can be molded to hold your base. Then the last thing that you're going to need is hot glue and a hot glue gun. Please make sure to be safe with our hot glue at all times.
So the first step is you want to get your fishing line. You want to cut a fishing line about 18 inches, and then you'll match it up with another fishing line of 18 inches and cut a second line. So you'll have 2 fishing lines of the same length. So now we are going to thread our pom-poms. You'll take your larger pom-poms. I see you got the black sparkly ones. I have green over here. And what I like to do is take a needle or a paper clip is what I'm actually using. And I like to poke a hole through the pom-pom first. And then I will take my fishing line and actually I'll thread it through with the paper clip or needle still in there. And once you get all the way through, you can just pull the needle or the paper clip out and you have threaded a pom-pom. You will thread 10 pom-poms on one strand and then 10 more pom-poms on the other strand. All right, so the next step will be taking our skewers or copper wire or whatever you have available. You're gonna be wanting to cutting these pieces down to about 2 to 4 inches. Really depends on you. Mine's a little bit longer than that because that's what I had available. But you want 10 of these all the same size.
Okay, perfect. So I've got my 10 bases, basically. What's our next step?
All right, next step is to take 2 different color straws. Now, this is important because whatever you choose now, we're going to pair it up. And so, for instance, this could be adenine and thymine, and that's what the colors will represent. And what I like to do is take one of the skewers or pieces of copper wire. Now I will stick the straw on there. Now I like one side longer than the other. Now I'll take my other side, or my other color straw, and put it on there. And I like to do about 1/3 of the straw one color and close to 2/3 the other color. And I like to leave just a small piece here that won't be covered by straw. And this will represent the hydrogen bond that connects these 2 different bases. So once you have that, You go ahead and take your scissors and you go ahead and cut the rest of the straw off. So I'll go ahead and remove those. So I have two different lengths here. So then you're going to take, for instance, I'm using pink. So I'll take my pink straw that I've already cut and I will cut 3 more of these. And I just kind of line it up and cut it so they're mostly the same size. So right now I have 4 pink straws cut all about the same length. And then I have 4 green ones, all longer than that one, but all about the same length. So those would be my adenine and thymine later. Now we're going to take our other 2 color straws and we're going to do the same process. Now these represent cytosine and guanine. Now for this one, we are going to cut 6 of each. All right, so the next step will be placing all our straws onto our different skewers. So make sure to keep the short and long ones paired up. So I want my purple and blue ones paired together. So you can go ahead and get them ready. And then I can put them kind of in the order how I want them in my DNA strand. So I like to get them all ready and then kind of rearrange them. The main thing is that you have the same bases paired up. That's the most important. Now you can go ahead and arrange them in the order that you want. So for mine, I had 1 purple and blue, I had 1 pink and green, and then I kept doing 1 and 1 for a little bit until I threw in 2 purple and blue at a time a couple times in there. So our next step is we're going to take our 2 fishing lines that we have with our pom poms on them, and we are going to take 2 ends and we're going to tie those together. We're going to tie one end right now, and then once we've hot glued everything, we'll tie the other end. Now you want to make sure that your pom poms are spread a little bit apart, so that way when we start hot gluing, you don't accidentally glue multiple together. The next step is we'll take that first skewer up at the top, and we're going to hot glue it to the top pom pom to one side. Now, this will be the side closest to the knot that we just tied. Now when you're hot gluing, not only do you want to glue the skewer or the wire, but you also want to make sure that that particular straw is also glued to the pom pom, so that way it doesn't slide around. Be careful, hot glue is dangerous.
Safety first always.
And then you'll glue the top pom pom on the opposite side to the same skewer or wire. You should have 2 pom poms connected to 1 skewer or wire.
Okay.
The nice thing about this is we can move it around and adjust it later on the fishing line. And we'll go ahead and keep doing that for the rest of them, trying our best to keep it in order. You can tie the bottom once you feel like you've had them spaced a good amount or the right amount apart. Now we're going to stretch this out a little bit on the dowel rod so you don't have to make it extremely tight with the bottom strand there. So we have some more pom poms. Now what we glued on was actually the sugar component of the DNA base. Now what we're gluing on next is actually the phosphate parts. Now this we'll take one of our smaller pom poms and we'll glue it to the bottom of each of our pom poms, just like so. So it looks like eventually that this will be in between the 2 different sugars. Yes, there should be 1 at the bottom of each pom pom until you actually get to the last pom poms. That one we won't attach any to, so I might have misspoken. We actually need 18 pom poms of the same color. It's always good to have extras just in case there's a hot glue accident.
Mm-hmm.
Is you're going to get your dowel rod and cut it to the size you want. Now, obviously, it has to be at least as long as your DNA. And you want to stretch your fishing line from knot to knot and make sure your dowel rod's at least that long, preferably 4 inches longer. Now, what I like to do with my dowel rod is on one side is put a little notch in there for the fishing wire. Now, you can do this with scissors, wherever you have available.
Safely. Just be as safe as possible.
Now, before you attach that to your dowel rod, I want you just taking your dowel rod, the opposite end of it, and going in between the bottom 2 skewers at the bottom. So just going in between the 2.
Oh, in between them?
Yes.
Do I need to do that up top?
No, just at the bottom. You'll put the fishing line at the notch after you put it down at the bottom. And this just kind of helps with the twisting.
Oh, okay.
So now you can take the top one just to show you how to twist it, and the bottom one, and you twist it to kind of get the bend that you want on it. And this will be the tricky part because once you have the bend you want, you'll need to glue everything in place to the dowel rod. And while you're twisting, you could also put pressure on that bottom fishing line knot, and that also helps. You can have more twists, you can have less twists, so it's really up to you. To get it attached to your base, it really depends on what you're using for the base. If you're using clay, it's rather simple. You place the dowel rod in there and form the clay around it. If you're using styrofoam, depending on what kind of styrofoam it is, you can put glue in there. If your dowel rod's nice and secured, it doesn't require a whole lot to hold it into place. Not recommend using hot glue on styrofoam.
That's dangerous. And I guess our last thing would be to label.
Yes.
Awesome. We will take pictures of our finished product and put it at the end of this video. Sound good?
Sounds good. When you get it to stand in place and you can walk away and you come back like a day later and it's still like in place, it's like it is rewarding. So this one I'm happy about.
That was great. I really love mine.